Beloved friends, today we celebrate the 19th Sunday in Ordinary Time. The readings invite us to reflect on God's redemptive initiative in history and how remembering God's redemptive acts and promises strengthen our hope and sustain our faith. Our first reading from the book of Wisdom, chapter 18, retells part of the Exodus story, the oath that God made to Abraham to give his descendants a homeland. Thus, the passage persuades the Jews that their faith tradition is both relevant and richly meaningful. It further highlights how the Israelites put their faith in God, celebrated the ritual meal in memorial of the Passover and God-saving events in history. Like the Jewish people, the Christian hope in a future must be strengthened by God's past redemptive events and his promised faithfulness. Now, remembering lies at the heart of faith. The awareness of people is shaped by the things that have happened and how they remember those things. Throughout the Old Testament, we see how people of faith remembered the events of the past and how that shaped them. Remembering something of value sustains people during hard times, even when they don't think they can make it. Moreover, it draws people to the belief that even if they can't see clearly at this time, God, who has come through them or others over and over again, is always there. A priest, as used by Father Smiger, once told a story about a pastoral visit that changed his life. The priest went to visit two sick parishioners in the hospital. Let's call them Mrs. Johnson and Mrs. Smith. On entering the first room, he said, "Good morning, Mrs. Johnson." An elderly woman looked up from the magazine she was reading. "Oh, Father," she said, "you are here. I thought you had forgotten me. I called you on Friday, but it's been 3 days. I thought I was no longer important to our parish." For a moment, the priest thought about informing Mrs. Johnson that over the weekend, he had a funeral, 2 weddings, 3 weekend masses, and a parish retreat. But he restrained and simply said, "I am sorry that it took me so long to get here, but I'm here now. How are you doing, Mrs. Johnson?" She responded, "Oh, Father, I am 82 years old and my life is falling apart. I'm losing my sight in one eye and I have a strong pain in my back. I have friends who are in their 90s and they still walk a mile a day. What did I do wrong?" "I don't think you did anything wrong, Mrs. Johnson," said the priest. "You say you are 82 years old. At that age, our bodies begin to fail. This is a time to depend more on others." "Do you have children?" the priest asked. "Oh, I have 3 children," said Mrs. Johnson. "But where are they? You don't see them here, do you? They stop in once in a while or call on the phone. But Father, I am basically on my own. I think my children are just waiting for me to die, so they inherit my money. I know there is a new pastor at the parish, and I want to make sure he knows who I am, that he knows how much I have done for the parish." The priest spoke to her assuringly, gave her a blessing after she said everything. And as she turned to leave the room, Mrs. Johnson called out, "Father, pray for me. My life is going down the drain and I am alone." Now the priest walked across the hall into Mrs. Smith's room. The minute Mrs. Smith saw him, she said, "Father, how nice to see you. How beautiful and how thoughtful for you to come visit me." The priest noticed her room was filled with flowers and handmade cards with big red hearts on them, made by family members. "Father, I have the most wonderful family," she said. "I am sure you do," the priest responded. "Now, why are you here in the hospital?" "Cancer," she said. "And it is serious. The doctor says I have 2 months." "Oh, I am sorry to hear that," the priest said. "Don't feel sorry for me, Father. I am 82 years old. I have lived a full life. I have many friends. I have a wonderful family. I have faith. In a short while, I'm going to see Jesus. Then, as if she just remembered something, she looked at the priest and said, "But Father, how are you? You look tired." "It was a rough weekend," the priest said. "I bet it was," she said. "But Father, I want you to listen to me. This is important. You are doing a great job. The people in the parish love you. I love you. Never forget that." "Thanks," the priest said. Then she said, "Well, I've taken enough of your time. You go along, but remember, I pray for you every day. And when I get to heaven, when I will pray for you still." My dear friends, all of us would either be bitter men or women who lived complaining about everything and everybody, or hopeful and faithful steward who lived gratefully celebrating God's blessing in its different forms. Our second reading today from the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 11, affirms that only faith can guarantee the blessings that we hope for, or prove the existence of the realities at present that remain unseen. In other words, faith provides a guarantee on which we hang our hopes. Faith is the ground upon which we hold fast. It points us towards the future and gives us courage to move forward and a disposition to launch into the unknown. God promised Abraham countless descendants and a land overflowing with riches that he would reveal to them. Although Abraham did not see nor know how this will happen, he believed. Now, notice that Abraham did not just believe, he also saw God's promise as a call to a life of faithfulness. His faithfulness was about readiness. Hence, he was willing to sacrifice his son Isaac. My dear friends, faithfulness as readiness is what Jesus speaks about in our gospel reading from Matthew chapter 24. Here, Jesus compares faith to servants waiting for their master's return. Faith, hope, and love are three virtues that are considered the foundation of Christian faith. Faith enables hope and love, while hope secures the future that is envisioned in faith, and love is the working of faith in the worship of God. When faith, hope, and love work together, they bring us to feed on God's faithfulness. When we remember how God has loved us and has loved the world, it holds through moments of despair, such that instead of focusing on our disappointment and failures, we hope in God's promise and faithfulness. The difference between Mrs. Johnson and Mrs. Smith is not lack of the knowledge of God, but the lack of vigilance and the ability to live faith as a vocation. My dear friends, in the midst of change and uncertainty, God's love is constant and faithful. If, and only if, we can hold fast and hold to God's promises, it will move us forward into the future with confidence. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. May God bless you.